Hello, folks. My name's Whitney Hill, running for Raleigh City Council in the District A, which is North Raleigh. I've always said that Shelley Lake is sort of the spiritual center of North Raleigh. It is a very popular place for the folks who live in North Raleigh, especially people who live right around it. And I'm very, very close to it too. And with my greenway excursions with my bicycle. It's usually a starting point for me. I want to introduce Martin Brossman here. Martin has been very active in helping with my campaign. And one of the things that I've leaned on Martin quite a bit is information about Shelley Lake. And it's at the forefront, with its loyal following, and it's so, important for the folks who it's a large center of their life. Like to just sort of start by asking Martin, what is your involvement with Shelley Lake? Talk a little bit about that and how you got started in that involvement.
I started years ago when Shelley Lake had a certain level of crime. And I grew up in DC and I call it kind of punk level crime. That means where it was minor crime, people being hassled. And I realized that years ago, there seemed to be like park rangers around doing things. And then they went away, and then there was no real presence there of authority. What I love about Shelley Lake is I met such wonderful, diverse people there, and also we have all the animals that show up. So I started a group called Shelley Lake Park Fans. It's on Facebook. I'll give you the link to put in the description. Everyone's welcome there. But the reason I did it is, in my experience in growing up in DC, positive attention by a neighborhood reduces crime. That doesn't mean they do anything. It's just they're paying attention. It's like I live in Lake Park. If there's some kids I don't know that show up, I'll go out and say, "Hey, gang, how are you doing?" and smile. It's often just that can be a tipping point and reduce crime. And it has taken off thanks to all the wonderful photographers and volunteer photographers. And you've met a number of them. We'll thank them in the text, but photographers and people who walk there, not just bringing positive attention, but showcasing all the wildlife there. I didn't know all that occurred. Then we had an eagle come in, and thanks to all their great work helping with the group, we got an eagle rescue that occurred. We got funding to help the eagles, and it has become kind of a pivotal place for sharing what's good about the park. And that's what I'm most proud of, is that I was just the starting catalyst of this. In fact, I have cards that I give out. I'll show you one right here when I'm on it, and it links to a little page. And we also have a next door group. That's where we should have the conversations, the concerns of the park.
If I look at Raleigh and, you go down to Western Raleigh around the university, you got Pullen Park that has a train and a lot of, swimming pool and a lot of sort of attractions in there for kids. And right across the street, Dorothea Dix, we're looking at investing. What's on the table is $500 million in enhancements, trying to make it a destination. With Shelley Park, I don't hear about those type of things. With Shelley Park, what is it about Shelley Park that it's really the most important aspects of it? I I don't hear people with the general motif of it complaining about that or wanting something different. It seems to me they more want to protect what they got there. Can you tell us what that is in your opinion?
Yes, I also have had the honor of having some of the Raleigh Parks and Recreation in my marketing class. So we have a positive relationship with them. What the people care about there is the sidewalks are safe, that there's safety, there's just some positive attention coming through. It could be officers, it could be volunteers just once in a while going through the lake and showing up. The trash is picked up. I think we have the same number of trash cans we've had forever. So just having some more trash. And then you and I know one of the people that volunteers and cleans up the trash. He goes in there and fights the chiggers and everything else and snakes and picks it up. I'm so grateful for that. But what they care about is that balance of functional so we can enjoy and the families can be there, and protecting the wildlife that's there, that's natural for Raleigh, because it's a nice area. We have deer in there, we have all types of birds in there. That's the balance, is how do we keep it so that it can be enjoyed by both the citizens and the wildlife? And how many places have that right in a city like this? I mean, I feel like I'm going to the mountains when I take my bicycle out of my house and go to Shelley Lake. It's like this little oasis, and it's just such a critical piece of our culture. And Whitney, I'll tell you what I love the most is growing up in DC, I was accustomed to being around diverse people. And that's what I love. So there's people who clearly are all across the spectrums with their families, enjoying it, walking around. And the other thing was we want to do is make sure we don't have bicyclists that are tearing through there, scaring people. So that's another thing that's important to people. And the biggest thing is if they're going to do something with the city that's needed, that we have a timetable and they're held accountable. Because you and I know, Whitney, over in near Crabtree, they've got a project that I think's drone on forever. So
Well,
if they're
they
gonna,
finally got that done.
did they
You know,
finally do it? But it seemed like it took forever.
Yeah.
So if they do something, okay, when's it going to start? How are we going to hold the contractors accountable so they stay under budget and they execute in a timely fashion? Whitney, we're business people. This is doable. This is not an impossible request. And that's what I care, because they apparently have to redo some of the sewage pipes. I understand that. I support it. But do we have accountability for those contractors? Are they going to lose money if they don't get it done in time? That's just standard business practice. And I personally have not seen the city council holding people accountable. And it might just be they don't have enough people that have kind of more business sense saying, what does it take to do this? I know, like, what does it take to put in a few more trash cans and stuff? Now, some great victories we have. I want to share wonderful things. We have some park benches where they've made so people can do something in honor of someone. In fact, the volunteers of the page, one of the people passed on, and they bought a park bench to honor them. And then we have gotten the city to move some of the trash cans back so they don't flood as easy. There's a lot of great things happening, and I want to give hats off to those in the Raleigh and parks that are doing these efforts, because we want to also acknowledge the progress that's happening.
One thing for sure, I'll tell you, is being out there as a candidate for Raleigh City Council, the Raleigh citizens universally love their tree canopy, and
Yeah.
they love their greenways and their parks and their nature. I tell people about the fact that you can see deer inside the city limits here on a regular basis, and people are like, really? Wow. I think when I hear you saying that with Shelley Park, it's about preservation, not development.
And
So
maintenance, and
yeah,
they
and
do
they
that. Like,
yeah,
we're
yeah. Well,
flooded out. I mean,
that's
it is an
preservation.
overflow.
Maintenance is
Yeah.
preservation. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you know about the sewer uh, this sewer project that has to be done? I mean, right now in Raleigh, we've got aging sewers that have to be replaced out. They're concrete, and I think they're replacing them with some type of PVC or something that'll last longer. But what do you know about that? How that's going to affect Shelley Lake?
So far we have some information in the park, but we don't seem to have set time periods or details. Now, if anyone sees this and knows it, please put in the comment. Why? Because as citizens, we get the community that we tolerate, is what I believe. It's really important when we find out, we let the city know we're watching them. We expect accountability. We'll work with them. This isn't needs to be adversarial unless they aren't doing their job. And we want to know what's the consequences if they go over budget or they don't get it done in time. Is there did they write that
Yeah.
into the contract? So the answer is I still don't have the information I like. It may fairly be in the planning stages as of today, but there are a lot of sharp women and men there that are watching it better than I could possibly do. And I'm so grateful for them. They're advocates. That's what makes this work. We get the cities that we tolerate. I can't say that enough. You know, the old statement, evil prevails when good people stay silent. Our focus should be what makes our communities better? What makes them safer? Are they building something that really is smart, that will be used well in the future? Because whenever they open those bonds, we're going to have to pay for it. That's what with Shelley Lake, we got a lot of people, and it's not that we always agree or not. You know, some feel that maybe the trash can moved back too far. Okay, well, let's discuss it. Let's work together. I'm for. I don't want people to agree. I want multiple perspectives, especially ones I don't agree. You know, Whitney, many times I've seen we've talked about stuff I didn't know that, and I changed my view on it when I learned more information. I just want to thank the people that are looking out for someone and say, if you're a visitor at Shelley Lake and you see something that doesn't seem right, say something. If it's something you think is criminal, notify the police and find out, and also get active in your community like we are. I do want to mention one more thing is I'm in Lake Park, and we had a number of break-ins, like 3 or 4, and I just use this word from DC. I call it punk level. That means the kid steals the TV and the PlayStation, but leaves the $100 on the desk, something like that. And I'm going, this is happening because we aren't paying enough attention. And I studied next door, and that's where we have the group for Shelley Lake. I studied next door, and I personally made over 350 copies of an article I wrote explaining it and put it out. And if you look on Nextdoor, my community has a tremendous percentage of people doing it. And I don't want to assume that was the tipping point, but all I know is that crime started going down, and we started talking about it. And the other thing is, people started talking about getting more lights on their house in it, and getting more of those Ring doorbells and all the other. I want to tell one great success story. There was a con man came to my house. He got me. He said, I'll clean up. I'm poorer and I want help. He took all the junk and put it at my neighbor's house behind me. Okay. Then I went, okay, I got had, and the neighbor came over mad. He thought I did it, and we found out it was a con man. Well, then he took advantage of my next door neighbor. Boy, that crossed the line. Okay. Then it was like, that's fighting words for me. We got pictures of him up. We ruined his career. I think there was 15,000 views on Nextdoor of this con man. And I think we just destroyed his career in this area. And we notified the authorities. So we notified the authorities. I was able to get a picture of him off my Ring. Other people had pictures of the Ring, but we need to work with the authorities, not independently, and let them know as well. And that's like, to me, that's communities looking out for each other. And the more we can focus on how to create our communities a better place, we often agree with that. When we get up on these noble causes, we'll fight and disagree. But when it comes to, do you want your neighborhood safe? Do you want a place for people to live that are serving you at the restaurant, so they don't have to drive from Fayetteville you were telling me? Those are the things we can have greater agreement. We have to start with what we can agree on.
Really went from about 2 years ago of having no law enforcement presence out on the Greenway. I mean, I'm out there all the time on my bicycle, and I never saw it. I know you and I both started lobbying for that, and now I'm out there, and we've got guys in electric golf carts and electric
Motorcycles.
and out there on there. I guess there's been horses out there. I haven't seen that much of that. Do you think that's made a difference, just that presence?
Oh, no question. No question. I want you to understand, I was fortunate growing up in DC, but I had a lot of students that weren't, and some could have easily taken a very dark path. And what I know is, if there's no one watching, then mischief will grow. Even if it's almost better if it's random watching. The non-professional, I mean like non-professional criminals, they are very in tune to who's watching, what is. In fact, my vote is they are real cowards by nature. They look for victims and people who look like victims. In my martial art Aikido, we did a lot of training in how to make yourself not look like a victim when you walk. Just a short story is I didn't really know how to fight as a kid, but I learned how to walk assertively and I got beat up less. All these psychological things make a huge difference. That's why positive attention, some type of authority that's checking it out, and ways of having good communications with the citizens and the police and the authorities. That really does reduce a lot of the crime. And I've seen it happen firsthand in my neighborhood in the area.
One thing I want to bring back, a few years ago, there was talk about, I think, a 10-story, uh,
Mm.
and it might even been higher than that, apartment building being built, or condos, or, something of that nature, out there on the lake, where everything around there right now is pretty much townhouses and homes. And that didn't get too much traction. I mean, there was
Well,
pretty,
I'm
you know,
not sure that's completely dead. I've
okay.
talked to the people. We need to keep an eye on it. And of course, I do want to say you running for office, I guarantee you'll be raising your hand if they start it because it would destroy the view line. A lot of really great women that are at Shelley Lake, and they were educating me on what it was. And we discussed, should it be on the page? Because we tried to keep it positive. I went, absolutely. I stand for this completely. Protecting it where it's not thought through is important. So this is one of those things. Don't assume. Keep watching it, and you'll be the first to know if we think that raised its head again. From their explanation, it would destroy the beauty and the tree line of the area. You can't stop. I also believe the quote: "When the people lead, the leaders will follow."
You mentioned being involved and keeping up with what's going on, and voicing your concerns and things that you want. What are the mechanisms that you can go about doing that with the city government, and letting them know, but both the city government, the elected officials, and uh, the downtown administration?
First of all, citizens need to be paying attention to what their city council's doing. And thanks to you, I started learning and going, what does that have to do with the city? What does that have to do with the city? What does that have to do with the city? It's online, they can find it, but also there are non-emergency numbers for the police. So you don't want to tie up emergency numbers for that. And then I had a great interview, if you'll put it below, of talking to Donnie Harrison, the former Wake, and I said, what would make Raleigh a safer place? I said, I'm personally woke up one day and went, Raleigh's going to be as dangerous as DC if I don't get involved. And he said we need more police along with mental health. And I thought, what a brilliant comment, because he said when he was in that situation, there was many times where he'd go, if I can get this kid mental health and some structure, I can keep him out of the system, which would be a career of crime. I think they're dead on. And I'm hearing numbers from 800 to 1,000 underpaid of the police. And that really scares me, because if we train them and they don't get taken care of here enough, they'll leave. And I'd love to make it where we have affordable homes where a police officer who works in Raleigh could even afford to live in Raleigh. One, we need to learn more and share. I tell people in next door, if you get too many notifications, turn it down to just emergencies and safety, and also get involved. Find ways to get to know your neighbors a little bit, and find ways you can agree. You may not agree on things, but I know a lot of the neighbors in the area. We don't all agree on everything in politics and how to help the city. So what? We find common grounds. We often have special events over the holidays here and so forth. And you got to find ways to find common ground with people. You've got to find ways to agree. Like my next door neighbor brought up an issue of, could they, with the city parks, use more electric blowers instead of gas. I go, I know someone to talk to that's running for city council, and we have to look at the price and cost and all those things, but that's paying attention. How do they do it? They first, to me, I think everyone in the city should get on Nextdoor. That's one way. Then turn down the updates so you don't get annoyed enough you want to get off it. So adjust it. That might just be safety. And then find ways to be part of the solution. Make sure you aren't complaining to people who can't do anything. This is the biggest thing. If you have a complaint, also bring a solution. You and I have been in management. Good managers would say, Martin, don't bring me a problem without a suggestion or a solution. Be that type of citizen. Think it through. Thinking is hard. Bring a suggestion along with it. Communicate, and some of those groups getting together of citizens talking that you've talked about, they're getting activated. Maybe show up with that. If your time is brief, the ability to have Nextdoor and like Shelley Lake Park fans that we have, give us ways when people are working multiple jobs to survive, they can at least communicate through these apps.
I'm going to mention a couple other things. There's the public comment sessions downtown where citizens can sign up and go down, and you keep up with what the issues are down there, and something pops up for Shelley Lake. You can go down there and get 3 minutes time. Any citizen can do that, sign up and do that. And the other thing is CACs. They are coming back. The city is going to sponsor them. I hope not control them. And these are opportunities for you to meet. Hopefully, right now, Shelley Lake doesn't have one. There is one over in Midtown um, that's been operating even through the city. Sort of disbanded them a while back, and some individuals kept theirs going. But the city now is going to sponsor them again. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. Hopefully, someone may in the Shelley Lake area be willing to organize a CAC there, and they're just an opportunity for information to flow both ways between city government and the citizens themselves, and the citizens can keep up with the issues and discuss them and send that input back up. Let's sort of
Now, what
close
does
with
CAC stand for if someone doesn't know?
Citizen Advisory Council.
Mm.
And it's not something unique to Raleigh, but the city had disbanded them a while back. That was a very popular move, and it's been somewhat of a unified front to bring them back. And I think when they were voted back in, it was a 8-0 to do it. They're back, but look, nothing's going to happen unless citizens get involved.
Yep.
And
Yep, that's it. And these are two examples where citizens are. Whitney, I wouldn't be able to do it if there weren't wonderful people stepping up on it. The page I started on Facebook is run by people that are brilliant, competent, compassionate. If someone puts something up that if there's a real accident where the police would rather have it handled so they can investigate, we're in cooperation with them, with the city. I want this to be a partnership with the city, and so does every one of those wonderful people helping out with the page. They want the same thing. We've got to find unifying ways to work together. This is what will take all the beauty of Raleigh and keep it that way as we grow. If we don't, then what occurs is an extremist of whatever it is, of any group on either sides, takes control when the people are silent and don't get involved.
do you have any closing comments here about Shelley Lake and you know where you'd really like to see things going in the future?
I didn't call out the names in Shelley Lake because I didn't have time to ask them before I did it, but I want to just thank all of those volunteers. They're helping it clean up, make it great, take wonderful photos. Oh my gosh. And have discussions where, what do you think we should do about this? And I just so grateful for people that I've get to meet that I wouldn't have known otherwise, that are standing up for their community. And I invite Every community needs to do this all across Raleigh. Again, I'm going to end with a quote: "When the people lead, the leaders will follow." And we get the society and community we're willing to tolerate. Make unreasonable requests to make your place better and find ways that help at a grassroots level. We got to work from the ground up.
Well, thank you, Martin. That's a wrap.
Thanks.